Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraftsman Joshua Tolentino. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Pilot Officer Mervin Rohrlach, whose story will be told shortly. We also welcome Air Commodore Mark Lax, retired, representing the Air Force Association, and the Simpson Prize delegation. The Simpson Prize is a national essay competition for Year 9 and 10 students that focuses on the service of Australians in the First World War. The delegation comprised of one winner and one runner-up from each state and territory, and is currently participating in a 3-day program in Canberra. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. You may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Pilot Officer Mervin Walter Rohrlach. Mervin Rohrlach was born on the 17th of February, 1918, in Calgary, South Australia. He was one of 8 children born to Johann Rohrlach, a farmer, and his wife, Anna. Mervin was educated locally, and after his schooling, he also became a farmer and a grazer. He met Golda Lorraine Atkinson, and they were engaged in March 1939 and married on the 12th of June 1940 at Canberra Methodist Church in South Australia. Little over a year later, their daughter Christine was born. On the 9th of July 1942, Mervin Rohrlach volunteered for active service and joined the ranks of the Royal Australian Air Force as an aircraft Class 2. Mustered as aircrew, he trained at various locations across Australia. By July 1943, he had qualified as a pilot and received his flying badge at No. 6 Service Flying Training School in Malala, South Australia. Now a sergeant, Rohrlach embarked for active service on the 27th of September, 1943. He disembarked in England on the 9th of November. He and his comrades joined other fledgling aircrew at a receiving centre in the seaside town of Brighton, where they saw out the remainder of the year. In February 1944, Rohrlach was sent to the Royal Air Force Base at Harwell, where he joined No. 15 Operational Training Unit. There he undertook night bombing training and learned to fly Vickers Wellington medium bombers. In April, Rohrlach travelled to South Sydney, where he undertook advanced flight training, as well as beam approach training to learn to land aircraft in low visibility. He continued with No. 21 Operational Training Unit and at the Aircraft School at Dalton before joining No. 1664 Heavy Conversion Unit, where he learned to operate Halifax and Lancaster heavy bombers. Commissioned a pilot officer in November 1944, Rohrlach joined his first operational unit, No. 462 Squadron of the Royal Australian Air Force. Then based out of Driffield in Yorkshire, the squadron had seen action in the Mediterranean theatre in the early years of the war, before being disbanded and reformed in England as part of Bomber Command. The squadron, comprised mostly of Australians, played an integral role in the Allied bombing campaign against Germany. Rohrlach's squadron supported Allied forces in Western Europe and undertook raids across 39 different countries, mainly in Germany. On the 6th of January 1945, Rohrlach set out on yet another routine mission, now as captain of an aircraft. Their job was to drop window, sheds of aluminium, to interfere with German radar in the Ruhr Valley. Their aircraft, Halifax MZ-469, was among 12 set out from Driffield that evening, but was the only one that did not return at the end of the mission. None of their comrades had any news of Rohrlach or his crew, who were listed as missing. The squadron leader wrote to Rohrlach's wife, "Your husband was a most capable and determined pilot, and he has been deeply missed by both myself personally and by the other members of my squadron, who would like to convey to you our deepest sympathy in your great anxiety. I can only hope that good news of your husband will come to hand, in which case I will let you know immediately." Rohrlach and his comrades remained listed as missing until September 1945, when the Halifax's wireless operator, Warrant Officer Lawrence, was found to be a prisoner of war in Germany. He described how the aircraft was hit by enemy fire while flying over Belgium, tearing a hole in the fuselage of the aircraft. Lawrence immediately donned his parachute as the Halifax quickly began to spiral out of control. Before he could communicate with the rest of the crew, Lawrence was thrown from the aircraft, which exploded before crashing near Janelle in southern Belgium. Lawrence parachuted safely to the ground and was captured by German troops. They soon found the wreckage with the remains of Rohrlach and the crew of Halifax MZ 469. At the war's end, Rohrlach and his comrades were exhumed and reinterred at a British military cemetery in Hotten, in southeastern Belgium. Today, Rohrlach lies beneath the words chosen by his family. They read, "These eagles suffer, we little birds to sing." Pilot Officer Mervin Rohrlach was 26 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Pilot Officer Mervin Walter Rohrlach, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.